What's going on, everybody? Christopher Toro here, and welcome to Glorified Games, the place that we talk about games and sometimes Sonic related topics. The Sonic Forces hype has been nothing short of a roller coaster. From its YouTube videos, getting tons of likes, and people like me defending it to no end. How could this have happened to Sonic Forces after so many people were anticipating it? After all of the amazing trailers, how could we not see the signs? That's why I'm making a list of everything that went wrong with Sonic Forces. The main culprit of this is its level design. When picking up the game, it's easy to see that the level design is very linear. Usually in the titles that came before it, there would be branching paths, different challenges and enemies to discover. There was always a sprawling sense to Sonic levels, with there being all kinds of routes to take. Even in a 2D landscape, no matter what, from the beginning, there have always been sections to Sonic games that threw me for a loop or had me going in a seemingly infinite pattern. They were almost maze-like, and so systematically and meticulously thought out. You can see the detail put into every stage of almost every Sonic game. Even if the games were buggy, there were a lot of details and a lot of things going on in the background. Now, of course, Sonic Forces does look amazing and there are things going on in the background, but that sprawling feeling is gone. When you're pretty much forced to go in a straight line, that authentic Sonic feeling to the stage is gone. When you get rid of our choices, I call it irony that the game is called Sonic Forces, but this game felt very different from the other ones, and I couldn't quite put my finger on why. Of course, it was, for the majority, boring to me, but it felt different. It didn't feel like the other Sonic games. The path and controls were more tight and didn't exactly give me the feeling of freedom like I'm used to, because no matter what, even though you're going down a seemingly linear path, like in Sonic Adventure or Sonic Adventure 2, there's always branching routes to follow. There are certain sections in Sonic Forces that had those attributes. Towards the end, in the Metropolis theme stages, there were sections where you could choose either to go to the left or to the right path, and that section of the game was amazing for the 1 minute and 30 seconds that it lasted. Sonic Forces only gave us a taste of this authentic formula that Sonic is known for. Now, besides the level design, which I can talk about forever, the development crew was also a crucial part in Sonic Forces' failure. Like a lot of commenters said, they were mostly novices at making platforming games, or games in general. They were trying to learn from an experienced director and producer, but couldn't quite put their heads together to make an actual creative game. All it was this simple straight line with post-apocalyptic themed environments. Nothing about it seemed creative. There was one classic Sonic stage that had kind of an invisible path, and that was the most creative the game got. Nothing really felt original or authentic. It all had a copy and paste feel to it. And it seemed like they just looked at other games and copied the formula that they seemed to have on the surface, but didn't quite get what it was made of, quoting a song, I guess. It's obvious that the development crew tried desperately to catch that feel of Sonic and make it appropriate to most players. It's obvious they wanted to make something that we would take seriously, but in the end, that feeling of seriousness became mundane and just downright unimaginative. It seems like they were held back by their lack of experience to really take that leap forward and try something truly ambitious. One of the top reasons why I was looking forward to this was because I thought the crew that was working on it was actually ambitious, but nothing about Forces was ambitious. Nothing really pushed the envelope to bring the game into greatness. It was so close to being good, sometimes, but there was always something holding it back, as if the people making it weren't confident in what they could do. Even though they are novices, they did a decent job considering that. But considering what came before, Sonic Forces is probably the most disappointing Sonic game in years. Now, besides the development crew, going more on the tone of Forces. Even though on the outside it was serious, there was this underlying positivity throughout all of the characters. That forced positivity underneath all of that post-apocalyptic storytelling was kind of awkward. It didn't feel natural. It just felt like all of the characters just had to be themselves no matter what. Like they couldn't change, even though those kind of circumstances would make anyone change. None of the characters seemed to change in the slightest, from their humor to their actions. Not even Sonic changed after being imprisoned and tortured for 6 months straight. Not one bit, had no scar on him. It would have been kind of cool to see him different in a way. But the only thing that lent to that change was when Infinite referred to him as being afraid. But he was probably just afraid of Infinite because of what he did last time, and because he couldn't understand Infinite. So that fear might have not come from the 6 months of torturing and imprisonment. Now, the tone for Forces could have been the polar opposite if it wasn't for one character. That's right, Infinite. Infinite, the edgelord himself, quoting Sonic here, had the tone set at dark. In fact, he was the only character not joking around. Who knows, if Infinite wasn't there, maybe the game would have been completely different. Maybe it would have actually been good. Because yes, he did set this dark tone for it, but he also didn't do anything else. Not even his boss battles were out of the ordinary. Running in a straight line, dodging obstacles, pressing A repeatedly until his animation kicks in. I've seen that plenty of times before in Sonic Unleashed. Infinite took Forces and brought it to such a high standard that maybe he's what was holding it back as well. The game easily revolved around him and Sonic, but he didn't seem to add anything unique besides that tone. He did set the tone for dark, but he also set it for mundane. He set it for the standardized BA villain that doesn't do anything wrong until the very end. Now, I'm actually not sure what he did wrong at the end to lose, but somehow, like every other villain before him, he lost. It was no different. It's as if Infinite represented the director, Morio, however you say his name, and everyone else represented the developers, not taking much of a unique or creative step because they were too scared, or because they felt like they had to keep this constant balance just to match that person they're trying to either defeat or impress. It's as if Infinite represented the developers' fears, or everyone's anticipation, or even their expectations. It's just something you can't beat, something you can't get up to. It's like their anxiety manifested into a character and made the game into what they felt through this character. Because of Infinite, the game easily changed. Everything about it was different. Even Sonic was a little different. Call it a self-fulfilling prophecy. So the last thing I got today that might have ruined this game were all of the throwback stages. On top of all of that fear, naivete, and noviceness, there was this expectation for some reason that they had to put most of the classic stages from Sonic's past into this game. And I'm not sure if they were trying to challenge themselves by making the classic stages slightly different or fun in a new way, but that level of familiarity did not help with the game's creativity, because now that your limited character is on a familiar plane, nothing new or intriguing can happen from that. You just turn your chances of 20% into 0 by putting that final nail in the coffin, which is Green Hill Zone or Chemical Plant. Sure, they try to change it up, but it didn't add anything to it. All there was left to look at was a familiar environment. There wasn't even anything new to experience through looking at the game most of the time. And if it was new, it was either a generic looking forest or a destroyed city. None of these attributes from Sonic's production and development helped, and I doubt any of them will continue to help. The only thing that could help Sonic at this point is a new angle to approach the franchise. Super Mario has taken that new approach, just saying, and Sonic has taken that approach in the past, and it's worked. So the only thing you need to do is keep that structure you've created and build on top of that foundation. That's how good sequels are made. Changing it completely or trying to simplify it to the point that it is boring or too tightly wound, diminishing it from what it used to be 10 years ago, idealistically, theoretically, and historically, it will never help. Now, of course, I have tons of ideas of what a good Sonic game could have, but I'm running low on time. And I just wanted to say thank you for the 1,000 subscribers, and thanks for all your comments. Let me know what you think went wrong with Sonic Forces, and what was the final nail in the coffin for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one, guys. Later.